What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast. And now we're going to look more into this banking system and kind of what's happening. And I think this is the initiation of what's to come here in the future. And you best be worried, folks, because this is going to get real serious. It's probably not going to be anything like 2008. I think you're witnessing changing of the guard, changing of the financial system. And there's a lot of implications that come along with this. Now, here's a little history on the Federal Reserve by G. Edward Griffin and his book, The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Level, the most important thing we need to know about the Federal Reserve System, which is that it is an appearance of the fourth kind, something which is not and yet appears to be. When I did my research on this topic, I came to the conclusion, which may startle you folks here, that the Federal Reserve System does not need to be audited. It needs to be abolished. And the reason I say that is because I'm sure that if they audited the Federal Reserve System, they would find out that it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. There's no secret there. There's no shenanigan going on behind the scenes. It's all out in the open. If we'll just study the Federal Reserve System on the basis of what we know already, if we'll read their literature, if we'll dig into the history, we find out that it's one of the greatest scams of all history. Out on the surface, it doesn't need an audit. An audit, I'm sure, would merely delay the process for a couple of years, give the American people the false impression that something is being done about this problem, and at the end of 2 years, they'd say, well, the books are clean. I came to the conclusion that the Federal Reserve needed to be abolished for 7 reasons, actually, and I'd like to read them for you now. I've stated them in rather concise terms. Hopefully they'll have some shock value, so you can remember them. And here they are. First of all, it is incapable of accomplishing its stated objectives. 2, it is a cartel operating against the public interest. 3, it is the supreme instrument of usury. 4, it generates our most unfair tax. 5, it encourages war. 6, it destabilizes the economy. And 7, it is an instrument of totalitarianism. Level.
And can you see any of those points being true over its 100-year history in in America, and its history hundreds, centuries ago? Makes you think. Here's the next video. Federal Reserve Chairman says that FedNow will enable any bank in America to offer instantly available funds and real-time payments to their customers. And they're launching their FedNow payment system in July.
Over to FedNow, there are some champions of digital currency and stable coins in particular that continue to cite the need for faster payment systems. However, as was earlier mentioned, the FedNow is a service that the Fed is working on to finalize that will allow for instant payments between bank accounts. And the Fed has a target release date for FedNow between May and July, which is right around the corner. Do you see any reason why cryptocurrencies would provide faster payments than the FedNow system? And would this offer, with the transparency of FedNow, would it offer distinct advantages over some of these stable coins that are touting faster payments?
What FedNow will do is it will enable all the banks, any bank in the United States, not just the big ones, to offer instantly available funds and real-time payments to their customers. That's what it will do. So that's a great thing. A CBDC, I think you're asking whether a CBDC would serve some of that, but a CBDC is going to be years in the evaluation. And,
False.
I think we can get this into the hands of the public very quickly. And I think we'll have real-time payments in this country very, very soon. And so that's a good thing.
It is.
So under the guise of or you'll still be operating with banks. And if you watch George Gammon, he made a good point of, well, if all the assets are under the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve from these commercial banks, then you technically have an account at the Federal Reserve. Whether you realize it or not, that's opening the door for the CBDC. And that's what's important to know. And I highly recommend that you see what's happening here. Because look, does the Federal Reserve maintain accounts for individuals? Can individuals use such accounts to pay bills and get money? No. Federal Reserve banks only provide financial services to banks and government entities only. And George Gammon says, until we inevitably get the next bailout, which will be moving all deposit accounts to the Fed. So, with that being said, look at this flooding that's happening in Turkey, the same place that got hit with, the massive earthquakes. Now they're getting hit with some strong flooding. Folks, things are getting serious. And here's another view of it, and it's just some massive amounts of water. Just everywhere, flooding the streets. Unbelievable. And this is crazy. I mean, you're seeing it happen everywhere. So, alright, with that in mind, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.